Welcome to the Power Systems series. This video is the first of the three main parts of the series, creating the power system. The three parts of creation I've made up for you are foundation, progression, and scaling. Foundation is the basics of what your power system is. Progression is how characters with a power system can grow in power or in the effectiveness of using the power. And scaling is how far the power system can go and how characters who have access to it can compare to each other. You should be able to answer these questions with one sentence. Fleshing each of them out would make their own videos, so stay tuned to the series for a fun time. Alright, the first pillar of your power system is the foundation. The questions on your checklist for this part are: what is your power system? Who has access to your power system? And where does your power system come from? Starting with the what question. Don't answer with something like Nen or Ki or cursed energy. Answer with details. The life energy people have can be used to create or control elements, so whatever. Describing the essential of your power system. Basically, what we see when your power system is in play. Dudes are throwing energy balls at each other. The who question. Who has it, or how do people get access to it? Everyone is born with Nen, but only a few people have access to it due to their training. Only people who eat a devil fruit have devil fruit powers. The Death Note itself is the power system, and only people who write in it can use it. Think of power systems as enhancements. They can be biological enhancements, or they can be weapons, or they can be a mix of both. Sometimes a power system can only be used via transformation, like Power Rangers. The where question. Not as important as the what and who. This is more just world building and lore. We can even keep it as a mystery and never explain it. We know how Titans came to be and we are starting to learn the mystery behind devil fruits, but who can tell me who invented Ki or Nen? Giving your power system an origin can add mystery to your story, so you should consider finally giving it a backstory in the mid-game or end-game of your story, so that we are already set on how your power system actually works and we can actually care about its history. Or you can even center your story around the mystery behind your power system like Attack on Titan did, but that's a topic for another day. Like and subscribe. Pillar number 2. Progression. The questions on your checklist are: how can characters grow in your power system? And more importantly, why do they grow? The how question, important for the reader and how they notice progress, basically the train to get harder parts of your power system. But strength isn't always the case. Sometimes it's knowledge, like Death Note. Light gets better when he learns the rules of the Death Note. Sometimes it's a change of mindset that triggers a transformation, like Luffy's second and third gear. Mental fortitude, Eren gaining control of his Titan form. Sometimes the power system is set and can never really change, and it's only the character that changes and becomes more effective. That's why you shouldn't only see strength as the only way to make progress in your power system. Which brings me to the why question. Important for you as the writer. This is how you are to portray progress. What hurdle needs to be crossed to become stronger? In Death Note, Light needed to get smarter, but the real hurdle was that he needed to lose his god complex. The reason he lost in episode 2 and the reason he beat Naomi Misura and Ray Pemba was that he didn't even think he could be outsmarted in episode 2, and he didn't apply his smarts, but he did with Ray Pemba and Naomi Misura. Sometimes the hurdle is as simple as physical strength, but in JJK the hurdle was mental focus. That's what Itadori needed to learn in order to progress. Your tools for the why are the drawbacks of the system and the character flaws of the user. What flaw do they need to overcome to get stronger? Vegeta needed to stop using rage to terrorize but rather to protect, to become a Super Saiyan like Kakarot. Yeah, that's the secret behind the cells. The drawbacks of the power system have two types. Permanent drawbacks like seawater for devil fruit users, which you can't do much about, and conquerable flaws like the specific weaknesses of each devil fruit. Overcoming these types of flaws shows the ingenuity of a character. Luffy was too slow and too weak for CP9, so he used his fruit to gain speed with gear 2 and size and strength with gear 3. Overcoming a drawback reveals character traits, while overcoming a flaw is for character development. Not only that, but just overcoming a drawback is the reason why progression is needed. Pillar number 3. Scaling. The three things you need to define are the general scaling, the comparative scaling, and the outliers. The general scaling is how far your power system can go. Is it set like Death Note and there's no way to make it stronger or weaker? Or is it unlimited like Dragon Ball and you can keep going Super Saiyan until their kingdom come? Or are you putting a cap on it to be city destruction level, country level? It's best to know in advance how strong the strongest can be, or if everyone is the same and the goal is to have the system in your favor, or if there's no limit. The comparative scaling is how users compare to each other, like how everyone is equal under the Death Note, but in Dragon Ball, the higher your power level, the stronger you are. Or maybe it's a rock, paper, scissors, depending on prowess. Water type Pokemon has a buff against fire types. Basically, how do users of your power system relate to each other? How do your battles go down? In Death Note, it boils down to who can predict whose moves better. And in Dragon Ball, it boils down to who can scream louder and get more hair color changes. The outliers are those that might be outside the rules of the general scaling, or those at the peak of the scaling, like Shanks in the Yonko, or the Coordinates in Founding Titan, or the Shinigami. These are what we call monsters. They can either be future goals for your main characters, or they can be used like a ram to show how dangerous a character who defeats them is. What's scarier than a monster is a monster slayer. If you have monsters and an antagonist slays a monster, you'd have to wonder how you can ever take them down. But if the slayer is on your side, just remember how the beast titan could order titans, classifying himself as a monster among even the titan shifters. And then remember what Levi did to him and how he felt knowing he was on our side. Stick around for part 2 where we talk about how to portray your power system.